Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our NBA Bargain Bin for Tuesday, April 4th, 2017. I almost gave it the bump to Wednesday. Maybe I wish it was Wednesday. Maybe I wish it was Friday. Nonetheless, here we are with about a week and a few days left to play in the NBA regular season. Things should get real fun here down the stretch. Playoff DFS is actually an underrated way to make money because if you can isolate the right plays for a night, you're going to be big. Using DraftKings mainly as our core pricing, but I'm pulling from 3 different sites here, trying to keep it under 5,500 on FanDuel. DraftKings prefer to keep it under 10K on Fantasy Draft. A little bit early in the day to know where we're going to fall with value, but we're going to give it our best shot. Let's go back to the well with someone who's done pretty well for us in the past few games, and that's Kris Dunn, point/shooting guard, Minnesota Timberwolves. 7,800 Fantasy Draft, 4,400 FanDuel, 4K DraftKings. Had a bit of a down game last time out. Not going to really hold that against him. He's a young player. You're going to have that. Right now, the game against the Wolves looks like it's going to be a blowout. I think the Wolves are 9.5, maybe 10-point underdogs. It could be as high as 13. I just can't remember offhand. Regardless, I think Dunn is going to see the minutes he's used to seeing. They have to work to develop him. 4,430 plus minutes potentially on the court is a risk I'm willing to take. He's exceeded that mark in like 5 out of his last 6 games in terms of 5x value. A lot of the times he's crossed 6x at that price or less, so I don't really have too much of a hesitation in rocking him out there tonight. Probably one of the more nerve-wracking considerations I'm giving in value tonight is going to be to my boy Skal, Labissiere. 9,100 Fantasy Draft, 4,100 FanDuel, 4,600 on DraftKings. Remains priced low. A lot of people will not be using him against Utah, which is weird because he had a pretty strong outing against them a few weeks back. You know, I'm not going to be a guy who's really going to go back too much and say, oh yeah, you know what, he dominated this matchup. We got to get him in. I guess I was wrong. He only had 24.75. But nonetheless, as long as he gets 25-ish minutes, he should be safe for around 22.5 fantasy points, which is about his 5x value tonight on DraftKings. I wouldn't go wild with him. I would maybe use him in a few just to kind of differentiate your lineups. I think I'm going for more of a balanced approach tonight than trying to worry about fitting a ton of the 10K plus guys in, but he's worth a look. Perhaps the most looked at value play of the day, if Will Barton and Jameer Nelson are ruled out, will be Emmanuel Mudiay. 7,700 Fantasy Draft, 3,700 FanDuel, 3,900 DraftKings. I'm really eager to see how his ownership falls, even if we get one or both of those guys healthy, because Mike Malone could kind of just, decide we're still going to give Mudiay minutes. He earned the minutes last time, and while it's not going to be the amount of minutes he saw, if he's able to stay productive in the minutes he gets, he could still be a value play that everybody's on until the news comes out that the starters are going to be back and everybody moves off, and still ends up being a decent play. We see that from time to time in daily fantasy. It's not very often, but it's a situation to at least consider. Ultimately, in this situation, you want to be paying attention to the newswire, to Twitter, to see how the starting lineups come out tonight, to see if Barton's going to play, to see if Mudiay is going to play. And if we get a big no next to those guys, I think it's a fair game to fire up Emmanuel Mudiay again. So once again, our favorite value plays on the night: Kris Dunn, Skal, Labissiere, Emmanuel Mudiay. Thank you once again for joining us. Make sure to hit subscribe below to our YouTube channel. Head over to researchfantasy.com. Sign up for our NBA mailing list. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.